Some people take life slowly. Others are stuck in the traffic, and many get caught up in the thinking. Then there are people of action, for whom every precious moment is embraced as an opportunity to be of service to others.
When I think about my husband, what comes to mind is a clear sense of commitment and purpose. In fact, when we first went out, and I first met him on the first date, he said to me, "Esther, I'm going back to South Africa. I have a job. I'm going to be a communal rabbi." And I said, "Excuse me, is this a job interview or is it a date?" But he said, "Look, I want it to be clear and I want it to be out there. This is what I am going to do."
What stays in my mind is Rabbi Maizels arriving at shul with his son Hillel and his lovely daughters and the kids around him. And Hillel, his son, used to sit on a chair next to his pulpit, his seat over there.
We've been members of the shul for the last 27 years. I wasn't raised Jewish, and I wasn't aware that my mother was Jewish. And they invited me for Friday night supper, and I just loved Judaism.
I even recall 28 years ago, or must be just a little less than that, when I was asked to do an Haftarah, and I really wasn't even sure of what that meant. But then he taught me, he took me in hand and he did Haftarahs for me. And today I do them regularly, and it's all thanks to him.
Eastern Cape-born Rabbi Desmond Maizels spent 3 years at the University of Cape Town Medical School before obtaining the Chief Rabbinate Smicha in Israel. He chose to acquire the further skills necessary to fulfill broader community needs, and qualified in many other areas too, becoming a mohel, a sofer, and a shochet. Then he brought his young wife home to South Africa, leading the congregation in Bloemfontein and its surrounds. And then, on the 1st of June 1984, took office as the rabbi of the Camp Space Shul.
If you lifted up these carpets, this used to be a badminton ground. And the rabbi, 2-3 months after arriving here, insisted that a balcony was built, because an Orthodox shul needed a balcony.
It was from a family of high standards that the young rabbi came, setting him off on a path of personal and professional impeccability that has characterized his life and endeared him to so many.
His father was English, and I think that had a big impact on him. Things were always done properly, the right way. I remember my husband often saying to the kids at the table, "When I was growing up, my father said you must have good manners. How will I be able to take you to the Queen if you don't have good manners?"
You know, they say still a water is diep de grond. He's a quiet man, no question about it, but very, very deep.
What you see is what you get. He's really straight, speaks from the heart, no flash, absolute substance. He lives his Yiddishkeit.
For almost 30 years, Rabbi Maizels, his wife Esther, and their children Hillel, Ora, Yael, and Gila have been inextricably woven into the story of this community. Lives are intertwined, simchas have been shared, and memories will linger forever.
For me, he's been like a role model. I've really looked at him and listened to what he says. I've learned to be more tolerant.
We're kind of lucky because he's not just for this community. He's a rabbi of the entire Cape Town community. He's the man behind the Beth Din. He's the sofer if you need something to fix up a Torah. He's the go-to guy if anybody wants a problem sorted in a halachic front. And he's always welcoming and helpful to do it. So we kind of left basking in his light of what he does for the Cape Town community as a whole.
I've really had a glimpse into Rabbi's frenetic timetable, and it's just unbelievable how much Rabbi fits into his life, from flitting around the world for brisses of former members and congregants living in Hong Kong, Toronto, LA. I remember the one time I called him and his office said he was in Nairobi for the day, and that's not unique.
Then there's the other side of him, the ability to relate to people, to talk to them, to chat with the humor, and to find a place where they're at. all the languages that he knows. He would speak to Sina in Kloza. He'll speak to the abattoir workers in Kloza. Just being able to talk to people, like for example, Friday he said to me, I'm off to have my chat with Casper on the way to shul. And he'll talk to Casper in Afrikaans.
The first day when I meet him here, he looked at me and he said, as jy die nuwe sekuriteit beampte. Ik zei, yes, Rebbe. Hij zei, Rebbe, can you speak Afrikaans? Hij zei, ja. Toen praat ons in Afrikaans. En toen voel ik zo gelukkig dat ik met iemand Afrikaans kan praten.
The only way to describe Rabbi Maizels is he is a real mensch. He's obliging in the sense that nothing is ever too much. And it's taught me a lot of things. A lot of time I could be short with people and just tell them, no, I can't do this because it doesn't suit me. And I often just think of Rabbi Maizels and how he would, what his response would be. And as a result of that, I'm now a lot more obliging towards other people. And in turn, I try and instill these exact same values in both of my children.
He's brissing kids, he's shechting animals, he's marrying young couples, he's kashering, he's consulting Tibetans all around the world. He's giving Barmi lessons, he's consoling mourners in the congregation, connecting with people. But most importantly, he's always home for the minyan.
So Rabbi come one day to me there in front and he asked me, you want to become a Jew? So I said, Rabbi, especially when we got 9 or 8 people here in the synagogue, then he will come out and said to me, we need one, come. I said, I can't, Rabbi.
He has a wonderful sense of humor, but often people don't even realize. He'll put on a voice or with an absolute straight face. Sometimes he catches me.
For 28 years, I've been trying to get Rabbi Maizels to have a scotch with me. Doesn't work. He will not touch the stuff.
It takes a team to lead a community. A strong partner who, in her own right, is a respected teacher and a spiritual guide. Esther Maizels, too, has been a leader in the community. And together she and Rabbi Maizels have held the door to their home wide open with graciousness, generous hospitality, and a warm, deep-rooted Yiddishkeit.
She's been behind him, huge support for him, and a huge support for the community. Her shiurim, when she talks to us, it's something to listen to. She's really very knowledgeable. Esther would have lunches, meals on Sukkot, on Shabbat, on Yom Tovim, and everybody would be invited.
The rabbi, in many respects, has taught me that a rabbi doesn't stand on a bima and pray. A rabbi comes down to the member and is involved and makes himself involved in the spiritual lives of the member.
It was in 2000 when we lost everything. And he phoned to see how I was because Neil was traveling overseas and I was in tears, and I said to him that I just didn't have any money and I had nothing to buy food with, and he said, don't worry, I'll sort it out. And he put the phone down and I thought, well, what happened? Where did he go? The next minute my doorbell goes. It's Rabbi Maizels. Comes in, he says, can I speak to you quickly? I won't keep you long. Opens his wallet, takes out his credit card, and he says to me, Mrs. Musicant, and I mean all the time he's so formal, Mrs. Musicant, yeah, take this credit card. So I looked at it and I said to him, what must I do with it? He said, you must go use it. You must go buy food, you must go put petrol in, you go buy stuff that you need for the house. If you need for the children, just use the card. I just started crying. I couldn't believe that this man, what am I to him? I'm one of his congregants. I'm not family, and yet he was prepared to put himself in a position where he had debt for me and my family.
I've really looked at him and listened to what he says, and I talk to him. He takes it slowly, he listens, he digests what's happened, and his advice has always been very good to me.
Almost 3 decades of service has left a community touched by a unique human being, a man of commitment with immense knowledge and energy, and possessing a myriad of skills, a man whose humanity and way with people will always remain in their hearts.
Speaking from my heart has meant a lot to me and my family. He's meant a lot to this community, and after 30 years of loyal and dedicated service, I only hope we can find some way to repay him for the work that he's put into this shul.
The rabbi is in essence a very humble man. And I think, quite frankly, he deserves a medal. He gave me this feeling of belonging to the synagogue and belonging to the rabbi.
To me, he's almost part of the family. That's what it feels like.
I think if anything, he has taught us the true values of religion, of what it means to be a Jew.